This is Deanna Lynn Bennett, and you're listening to XERS Radio.
You are listening to The Cheap Seats.
What the hell's going on out here?
Brought to you by Agamemnon Self-Defense.
Now, here are your hosts.
This is the end. The absolute end.
Steve Willis and Steve Desmond.
Good afternoon, everybody. XERS. Bad. You just muted me.
I did.
Don't do that.
Well, you know, you're typing away over here instead of getting on with the show. Well, this is a big show tonight.
Sorry, updating the Twitter feed. This is a big show.
You know,
you are listening to the Cheap Seats on XERS Radio. I'm your host, Steve Willis. Alongside me,
the muter.
Yeah, the man with the fingers on the board here.
I told you I'm closer to this board than you are, and I was told to remember who the Steve is and the Steve and to make sure I let you talk today.
Yeah, so, well, that would be a great start.
And I realized that I am the Steve and the Steve and Steve.
And so am I. This is, of course, the voice of the one, the only Steve Detterman. And we do have an enormous show today.
God.
NFL free agency is getting ready.
It hasn't even started.
To kick off. It is almost there. And we are talking about trades already, big trades, big moves.
Rumors.
And trade rumors, yes. Of course, the show is brought to you by Rock Sports Bar and Grill.
Go Rocks.
Got to get down there and get ready for March Madness, which is coming up. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on today.
There's something other than football?
With Todd Burlage, yes, believe it or not. Todd Burlage is going to join us about 7 o'clock. We're going to talk a little bit of college basketball, getting ready for March Madness. Of course, the conference tournaments are getting ready to begin.
Some
I adjust my
begun.
volume here because I was, we were blowing everything away.
That's okay.
Sorry about that.
Hey,
and
that's okay.
If you would like your speakers replaced, just send a receipt to Bill McDonald, care of XCRS Radio.
Good
he
luck
will
with
gladly file that.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to get reimbursed on my toll charges.
Still waiting to get paid.
Yeah, well, that too.
Anyhow, we got Todd Burlage coming up a little bit later. Of course, Josh Briggs is going to bring you the NASCAR segment at the bottom of the second hour. And right now, I am going to ask callers, write the number down. We're going to open the phone lines a little bit later on.
All right.
And we are going to get your opinion because the big trade in the area, of course.
The big trade.
Brandon Marshall to the Jets, all you Bears fans out there. What do you think of Brandon Marshall going to the Jets? And not necessarily just the trade to the Jets, but the ramifications.
Well, here's the other thing.
Jay Cutler.
Here's the other thing. Brandon Marshall, big name, right? Big name receiver, big time, big body, fast, strong, can make the big catches. You'd think he'd bring a pretty good price, don't you?
You would think, yeah. You would think.
Yeah, 5th round pick.
A 5th round draft pick.
5th round
for Brandon Marshall.
Can anyone name who the Bears got in the 5th round last year?
I know I can't.
There's not too many 5th round.
You probably can't either unless you looked it up.
I have no clue. No clue. But that's who they gave him away. You know what that tells me? This was not a trade to get a pick.
Yeah,
this was a trade to get rid of salary and to get rid of that bad attitude in that locker room.
That's I totally agree with that. And at the same time, personally, I think the writing is on the wall for Jay Cutler. That was his receiver. It was his guy. He was, out of all the receivers on that Bears roster, he was the one that Cutler
defended him.
He definitely, he defended Cutler for one, but he's also the one receiver that Jay Cutler has had such a history with that most of his throws were pretty much automatic. He gave Jay Cutler so many of his positive stats in his time in Chicago.
Yeah, though he had started this past year, or even a couple years ago, starting to find a couple of the other receivers. I think Brandon Marshall, we saw more drops this year than we had seen in the past, but still, when it came right down to it, that's the one that you worried about. But Now with Alshon Jeffrey, another big body out there, proving that he can make the catch. Cutler was a little bit friendlier towards that end too.
Absolutely.
And also, your tight end who became a big body in there too. I can see this more as a salary cap issue. I can see this as an attitude issue. But the other thing is here's the big thing. What is a 8-year wide receiver or 10-year wide receiver right now? What does it really go for? Because if you take a look at last year's draft, you take a look at this year's draft, what are they very, very big on? Wide receivers.
Absolutely.
A ton of huge, powerful, strong, fast wide receivers.
And big market. There are tons of them.
It is easier to replace a wide receiver nowadays than almost any other position besides running back.
Absolutely.
I think, the wide receiver position has become one that has become more and more valuable because the teams aren't running as much. But it just seems there's a larger glut of really good, talented wide receivers out there that I think the market for the wide receivers is actually going to be dropping. I think we're going to see the value come down because of it's a supply and demand type of thing.
Yeah, it is market saturation is exactly what it is. When you look at the top 10 draft prospects in the NFL right now, over 50% are wide receivers.
Yeah.
In the top 10 prospects in the NFL. And 2 of those are quarterbacks. So that means out of the next 8, 6 are wide receivers.
I think they said we could see, 6 to maybe 8 wide receivers taken in the first round?
Easily.
I mean, that's...
And of that, you could even see in the first 10, you can even see 3 or 4 for sure.
And the thing is all of those guys will start.
They will.
They will start right away, day one.
As far as wide receivers go, it is the one position, maybe outside of some obscure guard or tackle position, the wide receiver is the one position in the NFL when you come right out of college, if you're good enough, you should have no reason why you can't start. There is zero reason because the best are already big enough. They are already as fast as they're ever going to be. And with the exception of, a new offensive scheme and maybe a little bit of spit and polish, they are ready to go at the NFL level, the best of the best.
I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, you take a look at what these wide receivers last year did. I mean, they came in and dominated. Odell Beckham. I mean, just dominated.
Absolutely.
And these were first-year wide receivers. So, I mean, that's where, the Giants themselves, they lost Victor Cruz early with a knee injury. They didn't lose anything because Odell Beckham came in and just picked up the slack.
Yeah, I mean, not only picked it up, but probably even improved in a few cases.
I agree with that. So, I mean, and it's huge because, you take a look at, when you took a look at the Bears, the last couple of years, you really didn't look at their defense. You looked at their offense, and you said, "My God, what a powerful offense!" You start taking a look at these guys. You got Cutler, you got Forte, you got Marshall, you got Jeffrey. I mean, you looked at the offense. You said they are such a powerful offense, and then all of a sudden, Cutler became Cutler again. I mean, he'd throw for 4,000 yards, but it come down to crunch time, he wasn't there. Marshall, in a critical game, I can watch many games with the Packers where he just disappeared. He disappeared the whole game. This is your number one rival. How can you disappear in a game like that? You're a big-time receiver. You need to make big-time catches. And I don't see an issue with the Bears moving him. I'm kind of surprised with how little they got. And I agree with you. I think that this could be the end of Jay Cutler. I mean, they were talking to the top brass in Chicago about Cutler this last week. Not one of them gave a vote of confidence to Jay Cutler. Not one. And that doesn't really sit too well when you're the quarterback coming in after such a horrible season that they had this last year, especially after the high expectations they had going into it.
Yeah, as far as what Jay Cutler is looking at right now, it's a rock and it's a hard place, and he has no room to navigate in the middle. He had a bad season last season. Let's put it out there. He had a bad season.
That's being nice
by anybody's standards. And even if you desperately need a quarterback, you're looking at Jay Cutler like, wow, there's no way it could have just been system with him as bad as it was. And then at the same time, you get no love from the team that you're in, and so. To just about any other team in the NFL, Jay Cutler looks like pretty much like a punt at the 5-yard line. You avoid it any way you can.
But you can't say that, and this is the thing when you talked about, you said, you looked at last year and said it can't be much of the system. Remember the year before, he thrived in that system. They had one of their better offensive years ever.
All the more reason to think that it was Cutler and not the system.
And then this past year, it just regressed tremendously.
Right.
Now,
the system didn't change, what regressed?
Well, and the thing is other teams picked up on what they were doing, and other teams had a full year to take a look at it.
Okay.
And maybe at that point, there was not any adjustments made. There weren't really any adjustments made. I thought that they didn't use Forte as much this past year as they should have. But it is.
So if that's the case, they learn, defenses learn the offense.
Right.
Well, that's great. But the only problem with that is that means Cutler's not adaptable.
No.
Because if you look at the great quarterbacks out there, they're running the same. Drew Brees has run the same offensive system year in and year out.
Here's the thing I was getting to.
People put him on the same level, and Drew Brees can still win.
As the thing I was just getting to this point. We didn't get there. Good players make plays.
Right.
Mediocre players can make the plays, but when challenged, they can't. They fold.
Right, and that's Jay Cutler.
That's him.
That is Jay Cutler.
But now
I've always said he's great until you get him into the red zone. Once you get him in the red zone, he falls way off.
What are they going to do with him? What can they do with Jay Cutler?
See, I don't know, because that is the question that Jay Cutler is faced with. He's got no confidence from the team he's in, and his regular season last year was so bad that it devalued his trade bait.
And remember,
trade stock.
He was the number one paid football player last year.
Right.
And he's still going to count, I think, near $20 million to their cap this year, isn't he?
Right. So
but I think they can get out of it after this year.
Yeah, they may end up suffering Cutler one more year, and then they'll find a way to get out of the contract.
I got a feeling what they're going to do is they're going to try and wrap him up and get him out of town this year to save it and eat some of that salary. I think they'll end up paying some of it.
That is a possibility. Obviously the other moves that they make are going to kind of give it away. The Brandon Marshall thing kind of told you where they're leaning. I think they're leaning more along the lines of rebuild, not reload.
I was going to say, is this a shout out by the Bears brass that they're already giving out? They're already waving the white flag.
I don't know if it's necessarily
because
white flag.
Because the defense still sucks.
I think it might be break down and regroup. They didn't re-sign Lance Briggs.
No, they told Lance Briggs, you're gone. We don't want you anymore.
That tells you that they are. I think they're ready to just kind of wipe away the remnants of the yesteryear Bears. Not even the old Bears, but the last 8-9 years Bears.
The Lovie Smith Bears.
Yeah, I think they're wiping away the remnants of that era and trying to start new. Anyhow, we want your input on this, especially Bears fans. We live fairly close to the Bears neck of the woods as far as their fans go. Pardon the pun.
Neck of the woods.
I would like Bears fans. I would love your guys' input on this. The hotline's open. Give us a call, the XERS web radio hotline. That is 574-307-8738.
What's that number again?
Answering the calls as they come in. 574-307-8738. Give give us a call and let us know. What do you think? Do you think the Brandon Marshall trade was good? Do you think the Bears are reloading? Do you think they're going to go after something big? If you're not Bears fans, if you're a fan of another team and you just you don't know if a move they made was great or if you're waiting to see a specific move, give us a call. Give us your team. Let us know what you're looking for or what you've seen so far. I know what I've seen so far is the Buffalo Bills looking like they're trying to shake things up in the AFC East. They go out and get Matt Castle from the Vikings.
Yes, they did.
They go out and get
LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, LaShawn McCoy from the Philadelphia Eagles.
How about Philadelphia?
I don't know
how do you trade away arguably the best running back in the NFC for a linebacker who missed his whole second season with a knee injury?
Right. Well, I'll tell you what. I actually tweeted to Scott Van Pelt this same thing. I'm such a name dropper.
Ding, 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 ding. I need the bell over here.
There we go. Anyhow, I was tweeting.
Talking to Scott Van Pelt.
Okay, whatever. Okay, whatever. Anyhow, I was tweeting about this 2 days ago, and I said this. If you look at Chip Kelly's offense in Oregon and what he did there with the running back, how he utilized his running backs in that offense, you'll see why to him LaShawn McCoy was more of a liability than an asset. Not to mention, let's be perfectly honest, he likes his Oregon guys.
Oh, he does.
I mean, Philadelphia is going to become Duxburg here very soon. This is like his 7th or 8th former player at Oregon.
Because Kiko Alonso? Kiko Alonso from Buffalo?
Yes.
Former Oregon
Duck.
That's right.
So there is an element to that kind of surprised me when I saw that. And when I looked up the stats on it, the running back is not very well used in that offense. And
but they have used. I mean, he led the league in all-purpose yards 2 years ago. This last year, he still ran for over 1,300 yards.
Right. Well, what that tells me is I think they're going to go after another running back, probably in the draft, maybe in free agency, that's a little cheaper and a little bit
speedier.
Maybe a little faster.
Okay.
And not that Shady wasn't fast, but maybe just somebody a little bit faster, a little bit more for a pass catching style, like a Jamal Charles style running back, somebody who can swing out of the backfield.
So Kansas City's looking to lose Jamal Charles.
Hey, I'll tell you, it would not shock me the way that they do their free agency. I shake my head every year. Anyhow, once again, the phone lines are open, 574-307-8738. Give us your team. Give us your thoughts on whatever trades they may have done, need to do, should do.
What your team is looking for in free agency, what your team needs to do before the start of the 2015 season.
Yes, and every caller gets a free invite down to the station, and I will let you slap the Chicago Blackhawks label off of Steve Detterman. How about that?
Yeah. Good luck. Good try on that one. You can actually come and be part of our studio audience. Our studio audience out there, a whopping couple people. They're clapping for us right now.
I don't even think, I'm going to be honest, I don't think anybody believed that.
Yes, they didn't believe that?
No, I doubt it.
Okay, well, you could become part of our first studio audience. We haven't had one. We had a couple people here before.
Yeah, but it's cold outside. They'd have to stand out there and.
Well, no, they can come down the basement with us.
I don't know if they can do that.
Okay, well then you can't do that.
No, you'd have to sit on Detterman's lap.
Ooh,
we're out of chairs.
Well, since I don't take up my full chair.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, and I take up mine.
Well, that and
I
a
take
couple
up mine
other
and
ones.
a little bit of yours.
There you go.
Anyhow, so okay, put the Brandon Marshall trade aside.
Okay.
Let's put the LaShawn.
You want to talk about
aside.
some of these other things I wrote down? I actually came in and I wrote things down.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's how much stuff was going on this week, and I know I missed a bunch.
That's
too.
way better than me because I just riff completely.
Well, I know that.
I don't write.
No, rip and read. Rip and read. Much. But, I mean, other things going on in the NFL. We haven't even started free agency yet, and, we're seeing some big names. Some names have been around for a long time being discarded.
Yeah. I mean, we already said Lance Briggs.
The Colts telling Reggie Wayne.
Wayne.
See you later.
Yep. And
Reggie Wayne.
I'm going to be honest. I think it's a year or two overdue. And
when we talked about this I disagree with you. I like what Reggie Wayne brings to the team. He's not the top producer that he was.
No, not at all.
No,
and that actually gets to the point as to why I think it's overdue, because of the fact that if you're Reggie Wayne in Indianapolis, you can't take minimum money. It would be a slap in the face if Indianapolis offered it to you. He's not worth paying top dollar for
offer him
his
less
services.
and let him make that decision then.
See, I think it would come off as a slap in the face. I think the Colts were like, hey, you're not worth even negotiating with because we can go out and get somebody so much ridiculously cheaper than you.
And we've already talked about the wide receiver position.
Yeah, you're going to see this with wide receivers all over the NFL.
The Houston Texans
starting to get marginal. Yeah,
Houston Texans. They're saying Andre Johnson, get a deal.
Go
get it. And you know who's interested in him? New England.
New England.
New England. Can you see him with Tom Brady?
Oh, wow.
Can you say another Super Bowl run?
I would say that that could be just enough to give him the renaissance his career needs.
I think so. The other things, the Steelers.
Troy Polamalu.
Bye, Troy Polamalu. Yep. They said either you retire or we're going to cut you.
Vince Wilfork of New England Patriots, a long time big piece of that offensive line.
Yeah, it's just it's amazing. You start seeing some of these names that have been around for a while. And, they're being told by their teams, hey, the time is now. You need to either retire or we can't go on in this current structure.
It's getting to be about that time, in the generation of sports as it moves forward. We're seeing it in the NBA this year. A lot of players that are getting older. I had something written down earlier when we get to the NBA segment. Ray Allen.
Yes.
Decided he wasn't going to play this year. Obviously after the All-Star break,
he hasn't played the last couple of years. Yeah,
and after the All-Star break, he was looking at possibly a couple of stops, and it didn't work out for either of them. Cleveland was going to be one of them, but just him, Kobe, a few others in the NBA. They're doing it in baseball. We just saw.
Derek Jeter.
The Derek Jeter swan song, and there are a few others. In hockey, there's been a few the last couple of years. It's that part of the generation in sports where you are seeing a lot of guys leave. Who was it? Maurice Jones-Drew.
Yes.
Just announced his retirement via Twitter. So,
but but also in football, we're heading into. This is something that I really like that the NFL did. They started last year. Is the beginning of free agency is coming before the draft. So, these teams get a chance. It used to be after the draft. They had the draft first, and free agency came afterwards. And after the draft, all of a sudden, these teams are going, well, geez, the free agents weren't getting a fair shake, and they're having a lot of things going on. Now with this happening before, teams can see what they can shape right now going into the draft, and it may change their whole draft perspective depending on what they can get. If you take a look at some of the players out there, we had a couple of franchise players. Des Bryant was made a franchise player, and we talked a little bit about that before the show. What does that mean? Here are the Dallas Cowboys. They said, hey, he's one of our top priorities. But we're not really looking at a long-term contract with him. We want to just sign him for 1 year. Does that kind of speak to what we talked about last week, you think?
Probably just a little.
That maybe it's a little bit more about this tape that's out there. It's been rumored to be out there. And, hey, we're only willing to invest in 1 year in Des Bryant. And if this tape comes out, we only lose the 1 year of cap.
If you think about it, this is probably the most cost-effective way for the Cowboys to go in the long term. And it's the only way they could go and still keep Des Bryant and keep control of the situation. Because if, that Jerry Jones is dealing with this twofold. You either get rid of the best wide receiver that you have and have it found out that, everything this police report was saying and all this, there's nothing to it, and you've lost it. The best wide receiver Romo's going to have in the rest of his career, and now you get nothing for him,
right?
And it's no good. But if you
franchise him.
you franchise him, yeah. Now this stuff comes out, he gets suspended by the NFL because obviously
you only have 1 year.
Yeah, you're on the hook for this year, and that's it.
Yep.
So easiest way to get out of it.
Now a couple other things. Jacoby Jones just signed with San Diego. What a pickup by San Diego.
Great pickup.
You talk about Phillip Rivers, getting another weapon to throw at. Unbelievable. That's pretty awesome.
Everybody in the AFC West is keeping up with the Joneses, or should I say the Mannings.
That's right.
Right now, because obviously Peyton Manning back, passed his physical, signed for a 4-year, $4 million a year less than what he originally did.
How about Denver? I mean, you got the Thomases both free agents, and you got to take a pick which one you want to franchise.
Right. You have no idea which one.
What they did?
I would say they're going to go Demaryius Thomas.
They franchised Demaryius Thomas. Yep. And that's what they did, because franchises had to be done this last week.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And one of the players that wasn't franchised that people were thinking that might be was Randall Cobb up in Green Bay.
Right.
And the Packers have basically said, we're willing to let Randall Cobb go to free agency. And I think a lot of that has come down to the fact that they made an offer to Cobb for anywhere between $8 to $9 million over a 4 to 5 year period.
Right.
A little bit less than what Jordy Nelson is getting, but then Jordy Nelson's the outside receiver, which is considered your number one receiver.
Right.
Cobb being a slot receiver, number two, they usually don't make as much as the outside receivers.
Right.
And Cobb is balking at it. He's letting his, and I think what's happening is that Randall Cobb is being played by his agent, and I got a feeling he may have a problem with that, because the thing is sometimes you have to look beyond the money and you have to use your head. If the Packers are going to give him a 4 to 5 year contract, and you talk about making it a guaranteed contract for $8 to $9 million a year, and for those 4 to 5 years, which is between years 22 and 26, you're still not an old man by the time this contract is over, and you get to play with arguably the best quarterback in the league.
Right. No.
Why would you be balking? Because maybe Oakland and Jacksonville, who have the highest cap available, might be able to pay you $11 million a year?
Yeah, and
wait a minute. Who's throwing passes to you now?
You got Blake Bortles throwing passes at you.
And David Carr.
Yeah.
Are you really want to pass that up?
Take a couple of bucks less and have the best quarterback in the league.
I'm sorry. I can make $9 million a year.
Yeah.
Which is, that's pretty damn good salary right there. To have Aaron Rodgers throw me the ball, or $11 million and have Blake Bortles.
Right. I'm going to be a little bit richer, and I'm going to have nothing to show for it record-wise.
And this is where you and we really came into a thing, because I said he's going to do the same thing that Jennings from what the Vikings did. The old receiver that the Packers had. The old receiver that the Packers had, that wanted more money, didn't get more money, said, you know what, I'm going to leave here because you didn't give me enough money, and sign for like $1 million or $2 million more a year to go to Minnesota to have nobody throw him the ball instead of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And then both of us sat there and said, what's his first name? And neither one of us could come up with his first name. And finally I go, Greg Jennings.
Yeah.
Remember at the time
I don't know why that happened.
No, but remember when he went on free agency, he was the number one receiver that was out there.
Right.
He was the number one sought-after guy. He turned down the Packers offer, went to Minnesota. What's he done at Minnesota? Absolutely jack squat.
Right.
Nothing. but then you have no one throwing you the ball. Yes, you made some money, but what's it done for your career? How's it advanced you as far as your numbers, as far as your prospects for Hall of Fame? If you ever had those aspirations, they're gone. Randall Cobb is just coming off a 90-plus reception year. He's 22 years old. He has the ability now to sign a 4 or 5 year contract, having the best quarterback in the league throw him more balls.
Right.
He had 12 TDs this year. I mean, why would you turn that down?
No, I mean, if you're him, you want to get that happy medium, somebody that can win, and a place that's going to pay you. And when we come back, we're going to take some of your calls. Remember the hotline phone number 574-307-8738. If it's busy, call back, and we will get to your calls. We want to know your team and your thoughts right now on free agency. And heck, we'll throw it in there. Who you think they ought to go after in the draft? Hopefully we can get some Tampa Bay fans. I would love to hear
famous Jameis guys. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Do you want him to go with somebody other than Jameis Winston? Should he not be the first pick in the draft? I'd love to hear that.
No.
So if you are in the Tampa area and you are a Tampa Bay fan, or if you're a Bucs fan, period.
Or you're a Virginia fan, because we have a lot of listeners down in Virginia.
No kidding.
What's up with that?
Yeah. Michiana, I got a bone to pick with you, actually. And that's coming up right on the other side of this. You're listening to Cheap Seats on XERS Radio.
Where do you go when you're looking for great food, a cold drink, and some of the best local live music? I go to the Phoenix, located on the corner of Lincoln Way and Main Street in historic downtown Mishawaka. Thursday nights, it's open jam with $2 well drinks. Friday and Saturdays, there's always live music with no cover charge. Great food, cheap drinks, excellent service. The place to be is the Phoenix.
Come back to Mishawaka for some home cooking. Whether you're out late at night or up early in the morning, featuring Dog and Suds root beer, iconic cupcakes, homemade biscuits and gravy. The Iconic Cafe, 215 North Main Street, Mishawaka.
Contact Kickstart Studios, audio recording services for all your recording needs. Songwriters, comedians, band demos, commercials, voiceovers, narration, sound effects, background music. Give us a call, 574-274-8046. Kickstart Studios at Comcast.net, or like us on Facebook at Kickstart Studios.
Hey, tune into XERS Radio and get your funk and groove on with me, Deanna, for a non-stop dance party as we stroll, hustle, bounce, and electric slide through the decades to the old school R&B, disco, funk, and hip-hop hits. If you can get jiggy with it, you better believe you're going to hear it here every Saturday night from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. Dance party classics from artists like Aretha Franklin, The Temptations, Shaka Khan, and the Ohio Players are sure to get you moving. And every week, I'll be dusting off some of my old 45s and 12-inch dance LPs to bring you old school jams from artists you haven't heard in a while, like Cameo, The Bar-Kays, M2May, and, well, Milli Vanilli. You know, it's true. Listen. If you're getting ready for a night on the town or having your own personal dance party in your living room, you can pump up the jams every Saturday night with me, Deanna Lynn Bennett, on the X.
And you are listening to the Cheap Seats on XERS Radio. Cheap Seats, of course, is brought to you by Rock Sports Bar and Grill. And there is a whole lot going. Speaking of rocks, there's a whole lot going on this weekend. If you want to check out the events,
there's a lot of events.
You know what? I don't have this weekend's. I got last weekend's.
Well, that's okay. If you were around last week and there were a lot of events going on,
there was a lot right here. Yeah, there was a whole lot of stuff.
You know what's going on this weekend? It's Bill's birthday party.
Oh, that's right. Bill's birthday this weekend. Yeah. Bill McDonald, happy birthday.
Yes.
Happy 29th birthday all over again.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He's actually younger than I am. That's sad.
But anyhow, this weekend, you got to head out to Phoenix.
He's a young man.
compared to
me.
You? Okay, may I finish my read now?
Okay, go ahead.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Awesome. No,
sorry, Mrs. Willis.
Yeah. Head out to the Phoenix tonight, tomorrow night. There are live bands every weekend at the Phoenix, downtown Mishawaka, or you can check out 5 Star Dive Bar in Elkhart, Cheers Pub in South Bend, and always head over to Rock Sports Bar. You can get awesome food.
Good
awesome food over at Rocks, and they have, there's one particular hamburger, and the name escapes me right now, but
the Steven Burger. Have they named one after us yet?
They need to, though.
They do.
But this thing is enormous.
Just put a lot of pork in there.
Yeah. Bacon, definitely.
There
bacon.
You go. There you
go. This hamburger is so enormous that you should sign a waiver before eating it. It is.
I could do it though.
Oh God,
I do those eating things.
It's big. Oh man, it's something else. Anyhow, got to check that out.
Yeah.
Also, did you know that you could listen to this show? If you're listening right now, you're probably listening on a computer. In fact, I can tell you right now that everybody is listening on a computer right now.
They should be.
Which is great.
Yes.
But did you know if you got to leave or if you're on the go, you can listen to this show on your phone.
That's right. There's an app.
To it. There is an app for that. Obviously, you can get the station right on iTunes. If you're not if you have an Android device, go to TuneIn Radio. Download it for free at the Google Play Marketplace. Once you open up TuneIn Radio, search XERS, and we are right there. You can always check that out. And, of course, you can follow this show and many others on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter, too. My Twitter handle is at TCS Willis. Mr. Steve Detterman.
SP Detterman.
At SP Detterman. And you can follow the show on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/TheCheapSeats with Steve. And you can check us out there. We also have our website at cheapseatsradioshow.net. Now, one person in free agency that a lot of people are going to pay attention to would, of course, be Adrian Peterson.
Yes.
He has filed, or I should say a federal court has allowed Adrian Peterson to come back to the NFL. We talked about this last week with Todd Burlage. And the question is, where would he go? There are a lot of teams out there that could easily jockey for position. One in particular they've spoken about. Now he has decided that he is going to speak with them personally.
How is this not tampering?
Without his agent.
How is this not tampering?
I have no idea who gave him the bright idea to go talk with. Of course, Adrian Peterson is trying to communicate with the Dallas Cowboys to go play in Dallas. Now, of course, Adrian Peterson is still under contract with the Minnesota Vikings. So he can't go anywhere without the Vikings releasing him or cutting him.
Right.
And we don't know if they're going to do either. So that is the question. And then on top of it, you have Adrian Peterson, who has decided he's just going to go talk to Jerry Jones.
I'm going to go talk to Dallas because that's where I want to go because I live down there and everything else.
Yeah, I live down there. I want to go down there. I want to play for him.
Hey, Adrian, guess what? You still have 3 years owed to Minnesota.
Yeah.
You may want to talk to them first.
You're not exactly getting out of that for nothing.
No, dude. I mean, I was going to say, how stupid do you think Adrian Peterson is? But, geez, how stupid is that for me to say how stupid is Adrian Peterson?
I don't know if it's necessarily stupid as it is just naive about how all of this works. If Peterson gets out of his contract, that is a big because Minnesota has all the control.
Do you think Minnesota would really just give him up for nothing?
I don't think they'd ever give him up for nothing.
Heck no, they'd rather. I mean, they're already got him for 3 years.
He's going to be trade block material.
Oh yeah.
But the question is, will they play him?
Do they have to?
I think yes. Because think about this. If you have control of his contract for the next 3 years,
right?
Whether you play him or not, whether you play him or not, you've got control of that contract.
Yes,
if you don't play him, don't let him play.
It's just wasted money. So
You're just going to you're going to devalue him. Because every year he doesn't play is one more year other teams can say, hey, he hasn't ran in the field of play for
that's true.
so long.
So do you use and abuse him?
I don't know. I don't know if they would necessarily do that either.
I mean, would you start featuring him even more?
Well, the one prudent thing for Minnesota to do is get him on the training block and get him on right away.
Yeah. See what you can get for him. Get out of that contract.
If nobody will take him early before the start of the season, you trot him out there.
Yep. You try him out in preseason every single game.
Let him run amok.
Yep.
And show everybody else, hey, I'm fine. I can run. I can do this. Don't worry about me. I haven't skipped a beat. You will find suitors lined up around the corner.
But he still has to get reinstated. That's the first thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the thing, the bargaining chip that Minnesota has is that Minnesota improved last year over their previous year without him. And they had a rookie quarterback playing for most of last year, and he's only going to get better. And I think that's something that Minnesota has that in their back pocket.
Yeah, but how big a piece would he be?
They proved last year they don't need him to win.
But how much more would they have won with him? I think quite a bit.
Well, okay, here's the thing. If he's playing, how much of a maturation and growth process does Teddy Bridgewater get then last year?
I don't know if it would have been.
I don't think he would have
different.
I don't think it would have been
quite as much. It wouldn't have been a ton different.
I think we would have seen a whole different Teddy Bridgewater because we wouldn't have seen him running around. We wouldn't have seen him, making the plays that he was making because he'd be handing the ball off.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that just because of the fact that players are going to make plays regardless. You're
going to take away 10 passes away from him a game because they're going to be handing that ball off to Adrian Peterson. At least 10 more.
Yeah, but you also, you could go down a really slippery slope with this because you don't necessarily know then how each game would have worked out. Every second down would have been different. Every third down would have been different, if you're handing the ball off. So, there's a big slippery slope what you can do. I would say to make
Are you telling me that they wouldn't have used Adrian Peterson more last year than the running backs that they had?
Oh, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is what percentage of the offense would flow through Teddy Bridgewater versus Adrian Peterson? And I would say
I think
you would take a little bit of Teddy Bridgewater's part of the offense away. You wouldn't take that much.
I think you would take a lot.
I don't
because the thing is that instead of passing now, you're handing the ball off. Now you've got Peterson running. You aren't going to be put in the same situations that you were this year. This year with second and third and long that they had this year, and they had to pass.
But at the same time, let me throw this at you: if you're a defense and you look at the Minnesota Vikings and you see Teddy Bridgewater and a phenomenal rookie, somebody that came in with lots of really high expectations later on down the road, and you see nobody at the running back position and marginal wide receivers, what are you going to key on? You're going to key on stopping Teddy Bridgewater. Now, you see Teddy Bridgewater, marginal wide receivers, and Adrian Peterson in the backfield. Guess what every defense is going to do? They're going to say, let's make Teddy Bridgewater beat us. They're going to key in 8 men in the box all the time on Adrian Peterson. They'll leave one-on-one on the outside, and they're going to make they're going to make Teddy Bridgewater make those throws.
Okay.
So you throw Adrian Peterson in the offense now all of a sudden. Now every defense that's faced them has fundamentally changed how they're going to play.
But on the converse side,
in turn, you'll end up putting more pressure on Teddy.
But on the converse side, if they're coming in after Teddy Bridgewater, that's where we saw Teddy Bridgewater mature and Teddy Bridgewater be able to read a defense a little bit quicker, be able to use his feet a little bit better because he had to.
Right.
You know, he had to make these moves. He had to grow. If he did not grow last year when they came in, he would have been squashed because he's not a big man. He would have been killed. And the thing is that Teddy Bridgewater grew. And without them coming in at him, without them putting the pressure on him, he wouldn't have had the ability to grow as fast and as much as he did. Because, I mean, he wouldn't have.
No,
and the thing is that if he's sitting back there, yes, they're loading the box on Adrian Peterson.
Right.
He still has no receivers that can get themselves open. But by having them rush in, now you've loosened up that defensive backfield a little bit more. And the thing is now he's making plays with his feet to give those people the time to get open. He's actually making plays, whereas before he's got nothing.
I think we're splitting hairs here because I still think he would have matured even without
I don't think he would have matured as much as he had.
I think it would have been in a slightly different way is what I think it would end up being. Anyhow, I think we're splitting hairs here because I think we both agree that he would have matured just on different levels, one way and the other. Anyhow, but Adrian Peterson, I think, will end up getting trotted out by the Vikings if they haven't made a trade before the start of the NFL season. Personally, I think they are going to put him on the trade block once he's reinstated. The minute he's reinstated, he's going somewhere. He's going to get dealt somewhere. And believe me, press or no press, pickets or no pickets, regardless, somebody is going to want, Adrian Peterson running out of their backfield, period. That is all there is to it.
Are we going to, taking a look as we go into free agency, are you expecting to see any other big names, be moving? I mean, we've seen some. I mean, like the Marshall deal.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think what ends up, whatever ends up happening to DeMarco Murray, I think that'll be the other big name to keep an eye on if he's going to get. If he's going to end up getting something that the Cowboys just don't want to match the offer sheet, that'll be a name to pay attention to. I think.
Is he restricted or unrestricted?
I'm pretty sure he is unrestricted.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's an unrestricted free agent. There wouldn't have been such a stink about it if he wasn't.
Right.
But the Cowboys still have an opportunity to, throw up an offer sheet to him and say, hey, because the Raiders gave you this,
we'll give it. I mean, and that's the thing.
Speaking of the Raiders, and Ndamukong, so sorry to interrupt, and Ndamukong Suh going to be talking to the Raiders today.
Well, he should be. I'm surprised he hasn't already.
So there's another name we're going to be paying attention to.
And that's when the Ndamukong Suh they brought up. They talked about him possibly going to the Giants.
Yeah,
that was another name. And the thing is, the Giants didn't have the cap, but they said, "Hey, we'll work around and get some cap for you, man."
Yeah, we'll find a way to pay you.
And the thing is Suh is just saying, you know what? It's not going to be up to me. It's all up to my agent. I'm going to let my agent take care of it. And that's where I think some of these players just get railroaded into bad situations just because of an agent. Because you know what the agent's after?
Oh,
the agent's after his cut.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want my 10% cut. So, here it is. I'm going to get you the best deal. I don't care if you go to a team that you're going to die on for the next 6 years and you're going to get killed and crushed and everything else, and you'll never live up
to you have to care to some degree.
No, because all they want is they want the money.
Yeah, but
as much guaranteed money as
they don't want a reputation of saying, "Hey, I stranded my guy in Jacksonville for 6 years, but I got paid."
Take a look. Take a look at the guys out there right now that what they've done. Like the Drew Rosenhauses, the Steve Borrises, these guys out there, they've taken these guys and just run the salary way up. They don't give a damn about the player, and yet they still get them because the players say, "That guy got me a hell of a contract. He got me a lot of money." And the problem is how many of these players have gone somewhere just for the best dollars and have watched their career stagnate, has watched his career basically derail. We talked about one just a little bit ago, Greg Jennings. Greg Jennings was a superstar at Green Bay. He went to Minnesota. He can't even crack the top receiver at Minnesota. That's how that's how sad that is. I mean, you look at some of the other free agents where they've gone different places and so forth. We saw Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush was on his way to be all of a sudden he was seeing some things. Went inside the big dollars of Detroit. Joyce Bell took over for him. You go to a team that, you get there, they don't have the line that you're used to walking, running behind, and you get injured because you take more hits than what you were taking before. You aren't playing with the same caliber of team that you had. And that's why I think sometimes, the player and the agents, they don't really look at what's best for them. They look at what's best for their pocketbook. And I understand that. But in the long run, you still have to take a look at what do you want to achieve? Do you want to achieve a really, really good career that could be a Hall of Fame career?
Right.
Or do you just want the money? Eventually, you could stay some. Why do these players take a pay cut to go to New England?
Well, they do it to chase a championship.
That's right.
They want a ring.
And the thing is once they get the ring, all of a sudden their talk of being a Hall of Fame player increases tenfold. The biggest, what was the biggest knock against Dan Marino?
No rings.
Never run a Super Bowl. Good quarterback, never won a Super Bowl. Dan Marino was a hell of a quarterback. And people talk about him when they talk about the great quarterbacks in the league, but he always gets dropped down 5 or 6 pegs because he never won a Super Bowl.
Right.
And that's what we all, everyone looks at. How many championships did he win? When it comes down to breaking a tie between two players.
And at the same time, as much as that is the end result, and that is the game, it's the end to the game every season. It's also kind of a lazy argument when we talk about the greatest of all time. It really is. It really is.
But when we talk great quarterbacks, they go, okay, who's better?
Right.
Joe Montana or Tom Brady? Those are the two best quarterbacks out there, right?
Because they have four championships,
4 or 5 rings. Yeah. Those are your number one quarterbacks.
Right, and that's kind of where I'm saying it's a lazy man's argument, because you can say,
Very much.
Who's won more championships? Well, okay, but there is the most the best winning percentage, longevity, and stuff like that, because that doesn't always translate.
No, it doesn't.
For the longest time, the best winning percentage of any quarterback was Dan Marino.
Yeah.
For the longest time. The most passing yards, Warren Moon, Dan Marino, these guys.
Yeah.
No Super Bowl rings. They've got just as many as I do.
Yep.
So, I mean,
we can walk in the room together.
Yeah.
Hold up our hand and say, hey, I've got as many rings as you do.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm just saying, it's kind of a lazy man's argument. I don't really like to get into they got championships, so they're automatically better.
And it is a lazy man's argument, but it is the argument that's brought up. When you get to Hall of Fame mention, this is not just the lazy man. These are the analysts that watch football in and out and have been doing it for years and years and years. It comes down to, we were thinking about him for the Hall of Fame, but he only has 1 ring. He has no rings. This guy has 3. Yeah, but this guy did this and this. Yeah, but he didn't make it to the Super Bowl and win.
See, I got news for you. At the Hall of Fame level, to base an individual's Hall of Fame worthiness by the totality of the team's actions in any given season is ridiculous.
But it's done.
But it should not be done.
But it is.
It really should not, though. I'm not disagreeing with you that it is.
If you go out and talk,
it should not be.
If you go out and talk to everyday fans out there, and you talk about Super Bowl or you talk about Hall of Fame, the first thing that they bring up is, well, this guy won this many rings.
Right.
This guy is should be a Hall of Famer because he was on this many championship teams.
Right.
I mean, you take a look at some of the players that aren't in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You go, why are they not in the Hall of Fame? Well, this guy got in because he had a couple Super Bowls.
Well, think about this. Let me give you a couple of names.
Okay.
You tell me, Hall of Famer, not Hall of Famer. Dan Fouts.
Dan Fouts, to me, should be a Hall of Famer. Dan Fouts revolutionized the quarterback position and where he was at in the AFC.
Yeah.
For a period of time, he was the quarterback. I mean, he was
and he's not in the Hall of Fame?
No, I don't think so.
Sure?
I don't believe Dan Fouts is.
Might have to look that one up. Okay, let me throw another one at you. Warren Moon.
Warren Moon should be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, he is in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, he is. And
How many Super Bowls has he won?
He has none, but he should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. You know, so many yards. And that doesn't even include, you know, what he did in the CFL. But and by the way, he won 3 Grey Cups in the CFL.
Yeah.
So, but which is their Super Bowl. Warren Moon, definitely.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer. And if you look at other players, not even necessarily
who are the main misses this year? I'm trying to remember who the main misses were, because there were some people I'm just going, how have you not? I look, you know, when I look at it, I look at Kevin Green. How is Kevin Green not in there?
I don't know. He easily should have been first ballot.
I mean, you know, there are a couple players. Why did it take so long for Ray Guy to get in the Hall of Fame? Because he's a punter?
Yeah, because he's a punter.
So what? That's part of the game. He made it part of the game. How important right now is a punter to your team?
Yeah, actually very.
I mean, if you take a look a couple years ago, and the Bears fans will know this. I'm trying to think of the name of the punter now, but their season, I mean, I would say at least 3 to 4 wins for that season could be attributed to their punter getting that ball inside the 10-yard line, giving the position, the field position to the Bears in these games. It left it there. And I'm just like going, oh, my God. I mean.
Are you talking about a recent punter or older?
Yes. It's probably about 5 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago.
I was thinking of Reggie Roby. But
no. Reggie Roby was with Miami.
I thought he was with Chicago too at one point.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe not.
No, I'm trying to. It begins with a P, and I can't think of the guy's name now. But you know, the thing is that, you know, how about field goal kickers?
Yeah.
I mean, name me a field goal kicker in the Hall of Fame.
Oh God, Tom Dempsey.
I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame.
You sure?
No,
I think he is.
No, I mean, I know he's mentioned because he had the 63-yard field goal.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is a field goal kicker in the Hall of Fame right now.
I don't know.
I mean, you know, that's the thing. I mean, some of these players, you know, it's like Peyton Manning. Hey, he's a kicker. They're just a kicker. Oh, yeah, I understand they're the kicker.
Right.
But when you need that damn 3 points at the end of the game, Peyton, who are you going to rely on?
Hey,
you are kicking the ball.
Hey, guess what? Kickers, as by and large, end up being the top scoring individual on the football team.
See, and that's what I don't understand. You know, when you have people, well, he's just a kicker, and I've been known to say, oh, he's just a kicker, get someone else in there. But when it comes down to that final play, when you're down 2 points, you got the ball at the 40-yard line, you're kicking a 57-yard field goal. I don't see the quarterback out there kicking the ball.
Right.
You know, I don't. You know, well, it's a 57-yard field goal. You should kick. Yeah, I don't see you doing it. You know, I don't see the running back, the star running back out there. They're kicking it.
Right.
You know, the thing is that, you know, I look at this and it's like, why don't we see more of these players in the Hall of Fame? It's like in the Hall of Fame for baseball, relief pitchers.
Right.
We have, I think, one or two. That's it.
Not many.
No. But I mean, you know, these are positions that you just lose, and you know, and you know, and getting back to the free agency, that's what some of these guys are missing by looking more at the dollars than at the team that they're going for to help support them and support the numbers.
Oh, absolutely. And there are a lot of players that are going to be looking that direction. There are going to be a lot of players this year chasing a championship in free agency, and it all kicks off at the beginning of next week. When we come back, Todd Burlage, we're going to talk a little college basketball, shift gears just a little bit, and maybe we'll ask Burlage a question or two about the NFL free agency. I'm sure he's got a few thoughts, and I'm sure he'll be glad to share them with us. And we are going to bring that to you here in just a second. You're listening to Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio.
Life is meant to be savored. If you find the reason, Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana will make it special. From the casual European atmosphere to the high-end tavern fare, Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern give you the chance to savor every day. Stop in and savor your day with your choice of a wide variety of drinks, from a classic martini to the best beers from local breweries. Savor your day on the patio, or come in and enjoy a glass of wine with some of our mouth-watering entrees. We're located in the historic Cam Brewery Stable Building in the 100 Center in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana. Call 574-807-0101 for reservations. Like us on Facebook to find out today's food and drink specials, or stop by our website at morgansandlbd.com. Drink in the moments, feast on the memories, savor every day at Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern.
Danielle Slav from Cheers Pub here. If you're looking for the best live music in Michiana, Cheers Pub is for you. Established in 1982, Cheers has become a well-known venue featuring local, regional, and national acts. Hard rock, metal, indie, and classic rock music is featured weekly on our newly remodeled stage. We have karaoke on Wednesday nights, drink specials nightly, 4 Horsemen pizza, and a full menu to curb your appetite. We're open 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. Monday through Saturday. Located at 103 Dixie Way South in Roseland. Cheers Pub, where friends become family.
Someone may have reached utopia. They figured out the best of both worlds, a 5-star dive bar. In fact, that is what it is and is its name. 5-star dive bar at 561 East Jackson Boulevard, Elkhart, Indiana, near Johnson Street. Serving at the 5-star full lunch and dinner menus. Get it all from appetizers to desserts. Special 5-star burgers, and Jake has great buns. The dive bar is also a 5-star place to go for nighttime entertainment and fun. Full bar service and the 5-star frozen Jaeger bomb. With live music 4 nights a week. Wednesdays and Thursdays, a karaoke DJ. That is the 5-star dive bar, 561 East Jackson Boulevard, Elkhart, Indiana, 574-294-7500. 5-star dive bar on Facebook.
Every Thursday night, 9 p.m., Iconic Cafe hits the digital radio airwaves with the best in home interviews and cooking. Be sure to check out Iconic Cafe Mishawaka Facebook page for upcoming and archive shows. Now that's iconic.
Hey, this is Maximus and the Bartender. Make sure you're checking out our brand new show bringing sports talk to you right here live on Extras Radio.
Tune in every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. for all the latest sports news. NFL, baseball, basketball, hockey, you name it, we got it.
And make sure you check Extras Radio out on Facebook as well.
You can get there through XERSradio.com.
And you are listening to the Cheap Seats on XERS Radio. Hour 2 starts now, and Hour 2 is, of course, brought to you by Scooby Subs, downtown Mishawaka. Go check them out right there by the Riverwalk. Scooby Subs, proud supporter for, almost the entire time.
Like us.
The show's been on the air. So
Hour 1 was jam-packed. What does Hour 2 bring us, Steve?
Hour 2 is going to be college basketball, specifically.
So what's that mean?
The conference tournaments, which are starting up right now, and that means it is time for the one, the only, the FanIndianas.com's very own Todd Burlage. Hi, how you doing, Todd?
Gentlemen, doing well. How are you guys tonight?
Ready,
doing good.
Ready for the weekend.
It's been a big day.
Yes, it's been a busy week. So this is nice. Nice to chat with you boys to wrap it all up. But very exciting and busy week.
It has been exciting. It has been busy, and we were actually talking during the break that the NCAA has been very busy. And Syracuse is on the receiving end. Why don't you kind of fill everybody in on what's going on here, Todd?
I will. It was sort of funny, and we even debated it on the show when Jim Boeheim at Syracuse sort of imposed his own postseason ban. I think in an effort to sort of maybe the NCAA would show some mercy on him as this investigation went on into exactly what was going on with his program. Perhaps, again, show some mercy and whatnot, but it does not appear that the NCAA showed much mercy.
No.
Because my hunch is the ban was coming. Here's kind of the lay of the land, boys. Came out today. They were going to force Syracuse to vacate 106 wins that happened between 2004-05 season through the 2011-2012 season, which Jim Boeheim, obviously, he's one of the leading coaches in the history of coaches. So that'll set him back. That's not a real big deal. He will serve a 9-game conference suspension next season. So he's going to lose half of his conference season if indeed he sticks around. But I think most importantly in this ruling, they are going to take away 3 scholarships. You only get 13 on a college basketball team. They're going to take away for 4 years, 3 scholarships. So that will leave Mr. Boeheim, again, assuming he sticks around, with only 10 scholarships to give out for 4 years, from 2016-17 through 2020-21. So some pretty significant penalties here, and it just makes you wonder. And then basically what this stemmed from, they found academic violations. They were kind of covered up, a lot of booster money going to players and even assistant coaches, and some substance abuse issues that were very much swept under the rug. So that's kind of the big 3, boys. You really,
those are some major 3s there, I would say.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's left on the checklist there. Some big news coming out of Syracuse, and we'll have to wait and see how this affects Jim Boeheim's future at Syracuse, whether he steps away gracefully, whether he tries to ride out the storm, or whatever the case may be.
What do you think?
I know Jim Boeheim. I've always respected Jim Boeheim. I shouldn't say he's not like a friend or anything like that, but I've dealt with him on a number of occasions over the years. I've always liked him very much. I thought he was a straight shooter, and I always liked sort of his outlook on things. This sort of makes me, I sort of changed my attitude about him a little bit. Frankly, I'm disappointed, to hear these things that are happening on his watch. And certainly he knew a lot about what was going on, clearly. And so I'm disappointed that this news came out. We'll have to wait and see. I know Jim Boeheim well enough to say that he will not want to just sort of walk away like so many other coaches do. Now, whether the university insists, for lack of a better word, that he walk away will remain to be seen. But one way or another, this university is going to have to suffer through these penalties. It's just a shame. It's a proud program and a proud man, and I know this is not his best day.
Now, you say Boeheim may not be interested in walking away, but when you hear of this many allegations and this many consequences, or this level of consequences, there's a catchphrase that generally goes around at this point, and it costs coaches and ADs jobs all the time. And that catchphrase is lack of institutional control. Now, the question now is, if the university decides that there was a lack of control or lack of institutional control, they may not give Boeheim a choice in the matter. And does the NCAA start to go into that particular part of the, or that particular method of thinking, I should say? I mean, it seems like they already have at some point because of the Boeheim suspension and the loss of scholarships. So it makes you wonder if they're not kind of leaning that direction already. And do you think the university could follow suit?
Well, certainly. Like I said, I talk as if Jim Boeheim could gracefully walk away, or if the university sort of behind the scenes insists he goes away. We may never know the answers to some of that. And perhaps, this is a guy that's been there for 40 years, guys. So, be it assistant coach, head coach, et cetera, et cetera. So, we'll have to see how it plays out. It sort of has, obviously, not to the extent of the Joe Paterno situation at Penn State in football, but it has a little bit of that same taste to it. I think that the NCAA has levied its penalties, done its thing. I think at this point it's going to be up to the university to make any decisions moving forward, as well as Jim Boeheim. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. I don't think that there's going to be – I don't think at this point that the NCAA is going to be, breathing down their necks to run him out of there. I really don't think that. Never say never. And obviously when you look at what happened with Penn State this year, where they lifted some of those the scholarship problems and whatnot, the sanctions. Things can change in a hurry, but I think at this point the NCAA is out of it.
I think the comparison between Penn State, it's just two totally different things. Where one was, where Syracuse involves players and it involves the players getting money, involves the players doing this. Where more Penn State was around the coach. Now, the one thing that you brought up is the reduction in the scholarships down to 10. Now, with the current play for college basketball towards the one and done, could this not play more towards Syracuse's advantage, where they can say, "Hey, we're only going to have 10 players. You're going to play." And if you're looking for a one and done to get in here and do this, we don't want someone that's going to be here for a long period of time. We want to come in, get in. You can, you're going to play because we don't have the reserves to bring in for you.
Wow, that's an intriguing thought, Steve. I hadn't even considered, to be honest with you. I think it would take its toll a little bit in practice. But at the same time, I see exactly what you're saying. You're going to come in right away. Why go to Kentucky when you have to play behind 8 All-Americans, when you come in here and play behind 6 or 7.
Right, and
that's an intriguing dynamic. I hadn't thought of it, but I truly value your point, and I don't think, I think it's worth considering for sure. Because obviously basketball, big-time basketball, be it the NBA or the top-notch college level, really it's all about, if you have about 3 elite players, or even in the college game, if you have 1 or 2 elite players, you can go a long way. I think it hurts you in practice, but overall, not a bad theory and an interesting dynamic you brought up. Well, something I hadn't considered, but I certainly will moving forward.
Yeah, and the thing is some of these teams, they aren't going more than 8 or 9 deep as it is. And if you can tell 8 or 9 players, hey, you're going to play. You're not going to, even as a freshman, you come in, you're going to play. You're not going to sit there. We're not going to redshirt you. We're going to play you. You might be able to track some of that top talent even better.
I agree, but at some point you have to compete on the practice court. While you only play 7 guys, you're grooming the other guys. They're working their way through. So, you still have freshman scholarship players. Right. Unless you're Kentucky, of course, then they just move on and whatnot. But do you change the dynamic of your program, and you very much follow the Kentucky model? If you're only given 10 scholarships versus 13, I think that's a great solution to your problem. It's a really intriguing thought, Steve. I like that very much.
Now, we watched a different Notre Dame team this week. Getting a little bit local here. Because last week we were so, oh my gosh, they looked horrible. But now they got to Louisville, and that was one of those games you're going, man, this could be a catch game. But wow, they put on a show, did they not?
Yeah, they really did. They did everything that they needed to do. A 12-point win, clinched 3rd place in the ACC and whatnot. And I was sincerely worried about this game. I wondered about tired legs. I wondered about coming off the loss to Syracuse. And 2-8 at Louisville. They didn't even get into town given the weather conditions. Their flight was delayed and whatnot. They didn't even arrive in Louisville till 1 a.m. on Wednesday a.m., the morning of the game, the very early morning of the game. And, yeah, to do what they did, you know, to build an 11-point lead early on, to come out and play with a lot of confidence, make a lot of shots, and do everything we've gotten used to watching Notre Dame doing, moving the ball, shooting the ball, doing everything we like. Yeah, it was a very impressive win. I think a very important win because going into that game, guys, you know, they had lost 3 of 7 games going into that, and you wonder, okay, is this team floundering a little bit? Are they going to go 4-4 in their last 8? Blah, 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 stumble down to the stretch here. But, you know, and then I think most impressive for me in that win, I mentioned the 11-point halftime lead that Notre Dame built. Well, Louisville opened the second half at home in a rowdy crowd and whatnot with an 11-0 run to tie the thing, and you just sort of had that feeling, oh, boy, here we go. Nope, no way. And you know, Demetrius and it really wasn't the stars that you used to that carried him through. You know, it was Demetrius Jackson that played so well, as he continues to be, in my opinion, the most improved player in the country.
Well, he and Bonzie Colson. Yes.
Bonzie Colson has just become a superstar. 17 points again, 7 of 7 shooting. This guy, I keep thinking is a fluke, but now 3 straight games, double digits. He's not a fluke. He's the real deal. And so, yeah, a very impressive win. And I think a real momentum builder for this team when they desperately needed it.
Now, but it also left, you know, I watched the game and enjoyed it. And I watched Louisville come back with that 11-0 run to start the second half and said, oh no, here we go again. And then they righted it and they came back and pulled away. But a lot of concerns and I was left with a feeling that, boy, I tell you, Louisville has really dropped from where they were 2 years ago because they looked horrible at times. But then again, Notre Dame did too. They came out with that big win, but there were a lot of things in there that you look at and you say, man, they need to fix a couple of these things before they get to tournament, and that tournament isn't that far away.
I think you just take them how you can get them on the road in conference play, and frankly, Louisville's without his best player, Jones, right now. So that makes a difference. They're a little bit disjointed. But, you know, what's interesting to me, and to go to your point a little bit here, you know, typically when you look at Louisville and Notre Dame, the programs as a whole, Pitino versus Bray, Pitino's teams, they seem to struggle early, can't seem to find their way. And by this time in the season, it's a team that's humming along, tournament ready to go. Meanwhile, Bray's team sort of hit their stride in January, looking great. You think everything's hunky-dory. And then they flounder down the stretch. So I thought the roles were reversed here, especially on the road in Notre Dame's case. It was Notre Dame's 7th road win in conference play this year, which is pretty amazing because they've never had more than 5 in any conference season, even going all the way back through their history at the Big East. So another impressive road win there. But, you know, it looked like programs going in 2 different directions, and typically those directions are flipped. You feel like Notre Dame's struggling this time of the year. You feel like Louisville's hitting his stride. So I think another positive sign for the Irish.
Is there any concern as far as with Jerry Grant? Because this is 2 straight games where he really didn't impress a lot. I mean, you know, he made some bad decisions on some drives, some really horrible shots, and made some bad turnovers.
Yeah, it was out of character for him, and we've seen that now, Steve. And I wonder, I know I've been harping on tired legs and this and that, and Jaron Grant leads the ACC in minutes played. You know, they did have 8 days off before that game. I think Mike Braden brings up a good point about Jaron Grant. He is almost unselfish to a point. He spends so much time trying to get other guys involved that sometimes he forgets he's the leader of this team. The Syracuse game was terrific evidence of that. I think Mike Bray's really going to try to get in this guy's head and say, look, you know, especially when things aren't going well, we need you to go to the rack, do our things. But yeah, Louisville's a terrific defensive team. But I know what you're saying. He didn't look quite right, and I don't have any great explanations for that. But boy, they need to get him right as we go here. Although I will say, when you're on the road playing at number 16 Louisville, and you can get great contributions from a Bonzie Colson, a Demetrius Jackson, a Steve Astoria, you know, when you're talking about guys that aren't household names, that sort of encourage you as you move forward here in tournament play. that other guys can step up even when the superstars. I didn't think Pat Connaughton played particularly well against Louisville either. And so, it's nice when other guys can pick you up. And I think that's one thing this Notre Dame team has shown this year that really they haven't shown in recent years.
And I was going to say, Connaughton, he looked out of sorts for most of that game. But I'm glad you brought up Astoria, because he, in my opinion, made the play of the game on the drive inside where he got the goal and the free throw for the 3-point play. I think that was a big boost for the Irish, and I think also a big boost for that young man.
Yeah, and because he was really struggling. I honestly, he was miserable against Syracuse.
Yes, he was.
Syracuse almost said, "You take your Steve Astoria," and typically he'll nail you on it. He's a sharp shooter. So I wondered a little bit about his head coming into this game, and he certainly proved that he's okay. He's strong mentally. But you're right, that particular play, I want to say it was right around when Louisville had that 11-0 run and was really coming on strong.
Yes, it was.
My timing may not be a little bit. My timing may be a little bit off.
I think it was when Louisville had just taken the 1-point lead, or it was right there, and then he came in, hit the 3-point, or came in with that drive with the 3-point, brought him back up, and momentum totally switched back over.
Yeah, I don't know if they, again, I don't have it right in front of me, but I'm not sure they ever trailed again after that. I totally agree. That was the game-changing play for sure. And certainly will help this kid's psyche, and they're going to need him. He's a great player, obviously the most unheralded player on the team, but always solid, always steady, a great shooter. He reminds me a little bit, I don't know, reminds me a little bit of a David Graves, maybe not quite to that point yet, but, just solid, steady, what you're going to get from him. And his Syracuse performance was disappointing, so it was nice to see him bounce back. But again, think about it this way, guys. They play Clemson. Notre Dame plays Clemson tomorrow. And let me find it here real quick. I have it. This is an interesting nugget here. In the history of the ACC, Notre Dame was 6-12 last year in ACC play. If they win tomorrow, they'll be 14-4. They'll finish up 14-4. That would be a +8 turnaround from the previous year. That's the second best turnaround in the history of this proud conference. Wow. North Carolina went from 5-11 to 14-2, a +9 in 2010. So it just goes to show you the job that both Mike Bray has done and really these young men have done.
Now Clemson's up next, and then we head into the tournament. What do we need to look for first in the Clemson game, but then leading into the tournament for Notre Dame?
Well, I think, Clemson's senior day, so we've been talking about Connaughton and Jaron Grant, so it'll be their last home game here, and so that's something to watch. Sometimes kids get a little bit too excited and this and that. We've heard that cliche a million times. But if you go back to the Clemson game that they played at Little John Coliseum in early February, this was sort of a defining game for Notre Dame. They were down by 8 early, and they were down 31-29 at half. And Notre Dame was even down 56-52 with 4 minutes left in the game in a hostile environment on the road. And Jaron Grant took things over, went on an 8-2 run, and basically stole a 60-58 win in their first ever trip to that arena. So that was really, I think, a good confidence boost for Notre Dame. I believe they were coming off sort of a string of road games. It was going to be, it was a tough stretch, and they sort of grinded out a win. So Clemson, a dangerous team, basically running around 500 both in conference play and overall. But certainly Notre Dame will obviously be the favorite tomorrow, and certainly a game they should win. And if they can win this, it'll tie the record for 14 wins. Will be the most they've ever had in any conference season. So again, it's been a pretty magical season. Looking forward, Steve, as you asked, I think this team is more equipped than any I've seen in recent years to make a deep run. I just hope they can. I like the makeup of this team because it's such a diverse cast of characters. You're not relying on one or two guys. You're not relying only on 3-point shooting. You're getting some contributions from a bench. I mean, think about it. Let me find this real quick, guys, because I think it's important. What did Notre Dame's bench out? And we've never heard of such a thing. Notre Dame's bench outscored Louisville's bench 21-2. When does that happen?
Wow.
So, They're getting bench play, and you know, it's just kind of a well-rounded group that I like, and a confident group. So I like this team's chances. Now, they will be on the same side of the bracket. They'll obviously open quarterfinal play, Final 8, with the double bye against an opponent to be named later, but they will be on the same side of the semifinal bracket with Duke, and then Virginia and North Carolina will be the top 2 seeds on the other side of the bracket. So it's more than likely you're going to see a third meeting between Duke and Notre Dame here, and hopefully the Irish can hold up and at least represent themselves well if indeed they get to that semifinal matchup.
Speaking of the conference tournament, we obviously have March Madness is in full swing. We have Selection Sunday coming up next weekend. We will have a show between then and now, so we'll kind of save the big breakdown for that show. But real quickly, Todd, in the ACC, give us a shoot from the hip idea how many teams you think are going to end up going out of the ACC.
I think it's just too early to tell. You know, I mean, you have your 4 guarantees. In previous years, the ACC has been a little bit slighted, and Mike Bray was a big proponent of going from 16 games to 18 games. He actually got his wish, and Mike Bray, when he joined the conference, was huge on this because he explained to the other conference commissioners that, look, you know, you only help your RPI. I know you beat up on each other. He said, I get all that, but you're also playing quality games, which bumps your BPI and your RPI. So at this point, you know, I would say 4, you know, I mean, I want to say Pitt's on the bubble. I don't have that whole list of teams in front of me, but, you know, I think it's definitely in line to get at least 5, possibly 6. So we'll have to wait and see. That's something I think we should talk about at a later date when we know. But at the same time, at least we know Notre Dame's in, so that's kind of cool. I just don't have that list those standings in front of me, boys.
Oh yeah, no,
it's a little bit hard for me to speculate on it.
No,
I will say that the Notre Dame women, they advanced to the semifinal today. They beat Miami. They avenged an early season loss. Miami knocked them off 78-63, and Notre Dame has now won 15 straight games since that defeat to Miami. That Miami game remains their only defeat in the history of ACC play. And they're coming along, ranked number 2. Play Duke tomorrow. Boys, set your alarm. They play Duke tomorrow, number 4 seed, at 9 a.m. So set your alarm, get your coffee maker ready, or do what I'm going to do and sleep in and read about
it. No, I'm sure I will be up, and hopefully I'll be able to watch it in one of the other rooms because I'm sure one of the girls will be watching something on Blu-ray in the living room. So
ESPNU.
Yeah, there we go. That's what we'll do.
Put it on at work.
And Todd, we'll definitely talk more seeding, more prognostication with you next week. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I want to get in there, boys. Sometimes Fridays are a little hectic with these ankle biters around here, but I definitely want to get in there. If not next Friday,
that's our studio audience right there.
You know, yeah, next Friday would be a good one, wouldn't it? So
it'd be wonderful.
If you'll have me, I certainly want to try to get in there.
I think we've been waiting for you.
Anytime.
Have you?
Anytime. Absolutely.
I'll pawn these kids off on somebody.
There we go.
There
that
you
sounds
go.
good.
Or you can make them our studio audience.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh, geez, you don't want that. No, I'm trying to pawn them off.
Oh, we got.
Is there pawnKidsOff.com?
I don't know. You can try it. I don't know. I think we're walking into human trafficking.
I think the police have a saying for that one.
Yeah, that's probably
also known as eBay. I mean, eBay.
Yeah.
Hey, they'll sell anything.
I think a good TV and a 2-hour SpongeBob movie that'd be good.
Yeah.
Right.
No, because then I won't be able to do the show. I'll be watching SpongeBob.
Yes, you will. Pizza and SpongeBob, you're gone.
All right, Todd. We will either see you or talk to you next week.
I appreciate the time, guys. Have a great night. Thank you.
Take care. Buddy. Thanks, Pipe.
Todd Burlage with us on the XERS web radio hotline.
He is the man, isn't he?
Oh, man. Dude knows his stuff.
No kidding.
And we are going to be talking seeds. We're going to be talking everything college basketball next week. So make sure you tune in for that right just before Selection Sunday.
We got to change tracks, don't we?
Yep.
Literally change tracks.
Literally change tracks because we're about to go racing in Las Vegas, and that is coming up here just on the other side of this. Todd Briggs joins us with the NASCAR segment. We'll talk to you in just a little bit. You're listening to Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio.
Hey guys, it's the bartender for Rock Sports Bar and Grill in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana. Football season's upon us, and there's no better place to catch the game than Rock Sports Bar and Grill. Along with the best collection of memorabilia from your favorite sports greats to all the games on our big screens, Rock's has you covered. Our menu features something for everyone. Amazing sandwiches and wraps, and the best burgers around, including the Rockstar Overdose. It's 2 half-pound patties served with bacon, cheddar cheese, piled high with french fries. Make sure you got your cardiologist on speed dial for this one. Find us on Facebook to check out our daily food and drink specials that are sure to be great for your gut and easy on your wallet. We've got you covered in between game days too. Wednesday night is trivia night where you can match wits with your buddies for great prizes. And during football season, tailgate Thursdays featuring dollar dogs, tacos, and fries. And every weekend, Rock features great acoustic music from some of Michiana's finest artists. Come see why there's no better place to get your fan fix than Rock Sports Bar and Grill, located in the Yorktown Center Building in downtown Mishawaka. For those who come to Rocks, we salute you.
Option 5, located in Mishawaka, Indiana, specializes in hand-built boutique guitar effects pedals. Option 5 has been producing the highest quality pedals right here in northern Indiana since 2002, and they continue to create original, non-copy designs today. Option 5 is not simply tweaking popular pedals and then slapping their name on them. They're producing groundbreaking effects designed for guitarists of all styles. And Option 5 doesn't just build cool pedals. They provide top-notch repair service as well. Option 5 repairs pedals and PA equipment, can modify and retube amplifiers, and service or repair Hammond organs and Leslie speakers. If you're looking for the highest quality effects pedals and the best in repair and customer service, check out Option 5 in Mishawaka at 1126 East Jefferson. Give them a call at 574-255-6539 or online at option5effects.com. That's option5fx.com. Option 5. Let tone abound.
Where do you go when you're looking for great food, a cold drink, and some of the best local live music? I go to the Phoenix, located on the corner of Lincoln Way and Main Street in historic downtown Mishawaka. Thursday nights, it's open jam with $2 well drinks. Friday and Saturdays, there's always live music with no cover charge. Great food, cheap drinks, excellent service. The place to be is the Phoenix.
Linda here, host of MDG's All Access Pass. Do you like to rock? I know you do. How about some metal bands? Great! I have exactly what you're looking for. James Rowe from MDG Music Discussion Group and myself have teamed up to bring you local, regional, and national bands, news, reviews, and of course, shenanigans. Join us every Monday night, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, for MDG's All Access Pass. Only on the X. XCRSradio.com.
And we are back. You are tuned in to the Cheap Seats on XERS Radio. Of course, if you missed any of the show or you want to catch it a little bit later or even play it for your friends, you know, I don't know.
Listen to it again.
Yeah, listen to it over and over and over.
Find all the mistakes and hidden things that we've thrown in here.
Absolutely. Just go to Spreaker. You can listen to the show on Spreaker or iHeartRadio. Of course, we are on iHeartRadio. Just go to either Spreaker.com or iHeartRadio.com or use the iHeartRadio app or the Spreaker app for your Android or your iPhone. And look up the show. Just look up the Cheap Seats on either one. You will find the show and you will listen to it on demand, and that is absolutely free, and that is the best part. And joining us right now, getting ready to go racing in Las Vegas, one of my favorite places to visit. I have friends from that area. It is a great place, and it is a great track, and it is a great time. And and to explain all of that to us right now is the one, the only Josh Briggs. Josh, how you doing?
Doing great, fellas. Thanks for having me on. How you doing?
Well,
we're ready to go racing.
Yeah,
so we are. I mean,
ready to put rubber to pavement.
It was so nice to see. So nice to see Jimmy come back last week.
I know, it was nice to see him finally come out and do what he's been supposed to be doing, dominating, doing work, and he really showed him last week at Atlanta that he's going to serve notice to be forced to be reckoned with this season.
Now, speaking of Jimmy Johnson, he was involved in a little fiasco at qualifying. He, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth, and quite a few 9 other drivers, their cars failed inspection at qualifying. What exactly went on there? And can you tell us what's going on, what NASCAR is doing, and why they failed?
Well, what happened was, with this little new Friday procedure, they say their goal is to cost cut, and they're not. It was an outrage just to even watch, because I watched this after I talked to you guys, and there was a shortage of tech staff in the tech area for inspection, so it forced a lot of the big names to not be able to go out onto the track. And I remember watching Jeff Gordon, and he said it was an utter embarrassment, and that should not be on the teams. It should be on NASCAR, because, everybody should have been dealt a fair chance to get through the line, and they were not. So I think NASCAR really messed up big time on that one, so look for changes to come soon.
Okay, and for the listeners that may not know exactly what procedure you're talking about, why don't you just kind of elaborate what procedure they're using right now and what they used to do, or versus what they used to do?
Well, on Fridays, it used to be you would present your car, and then you would go through tech inspection and get everything all ready, and then they would stage you for practice. They would do the practice session, and then towards the end of the afternoon, you would get ready for qualifying. And now qualifying used to be singles runs, but they did away with that last year in favor of group qualifying. But it's just been one circus right after the other. And, as I said this before, it is a fabricator's nightmare, because, you got people doing stupid things on the track when they shouldn't be. And honestly, it's creating a circus when there shouldn't be. And now the circus is filtered into the garage area. So I think NASCAR's got a lot of work to do on the drawing board in this one, because this should not happen again. I was
going to say, how does NASCAR get this under control so they can get it back to the way it should be?
Well, actually, I saw online today on NASCAR.com, which is a very reliable source. They are going to be allowing an extra 20 minutes in between practice and qualifying, just to allow for a much smoother inspection process, and that way everybody can be able to get through the line. But also, they decided that this inspection is going to be first come, first serve, and it's not going to be based on practice speeds, because it used to be based upon practice speeds, the order in which you would go through the line for tech inspection. But now it's just based on first come, first serve. So if you're ready, you go, and then if you're ready for qualifying, then you go. But I think if they do that, that should help things a little bit. But I just hope that they can solve this.
Okay, now let's move to one more thing before we get to Las Vegas. Kurt Busch, it seems the drama has started to kind of simmer down with him a little bit. Not only were there no charges filed in the case that Kurt Busch had initially been suspended by NASCAR, but now it seems NASCAR, before that had even been announced, NASCAR had agreed to reinstatement terms. But now the worm has turned, so to speak, and it seems almost as if Kurt Busch has an opportunity to go after NASCAR here, maybe for suspending him a little prematurely.
Yeah, and you know what I got to say, boys? I smell a lawsuit because ultimately this is definitely a case of character defamation right here, because it was a knee-jerk reaction by NASCAR. They should have waited. They could have let Kurt Busch race, but it's kind of a darn if you do, darn if you don't sort of thing. But honestly, I think they should have just waited to see what would have happened. I mean, I'm glad that NASCAR acted for the sake of their image, but, it's kind of a double-edged sword, like I said, darn if you do, darn if you don't. But I think Kurt Busch, I definitely smell a lawsuit coming because, his career is pretty much, it's pretty much shot now because everybody's shunned him. Chevy's shunned him. Stewart Haas Racing, NASCAR, Brian France, the whole governing body, they pretty well just lowered the boom on him. And to get reinstated, we'll see what happens. It's going to be a very interesting thing, and we will definitely be looking into this for sure. So I look for more updates, and I will be providing you updates as they follow.
Awesome. And it almost begs the question to me if NASCAR may have pulled that knee-jerk reaction because they saw what happened to the NFL and Ray Rice and that entire that whole debacle, and maybe NASCAR kind of thought, well, maybe we want to get out in front of this a little bit, even if there's no set proof, maybe we should just get out in front of this right now just in case it comes down. Because, granted, Bush had a history, and it wasn't a good history. So they were kind of playing the odds, and I think it came around to bite them. Now they're going to have to answer for that. And speaking of playing the odds, we go to Vegas. Let's who has the edge here? I know you like to give us who has the edge. Why don't you give us your fast four and tell us who's got the edge in Las Vegas to have the opportunity to take home the checkered flag?
Okay, boys. For this week's Fantasy 4, I have Matt Kenseth, and this one goes out to my buddy Eric Toth, who is a fellow Warrior. He loves Matt Kenseth, so I'm picking Matt Kenseth to win this week in the 20 car. And we also have Carl Edwards in the 19, who is a monster on the mile and a half. And then we have Martin Truex Jr., who is off to an incredible start. 4th place in points right now, running off of 2 straight top 10 finishes to start the season. You got to love the kid. He is great. And then also 4th, David Reagan. I'm leaning on the 18 bandwagon once again. He's going to make Kyle Busch proud. So look for David Reagan to have a good run this weekend, and that's my fast 4.
Okay, I did not hear a Hendrick car in there. Is there an issue with Hendrick cars in Las Vegas?
No, historically it's been a case of Joe Gibbs Racing, who has a very good stranglehold on the mile and a half tracks. And as you know, Matt Kenseth in 2013, he won 7 races, and half of those were on mile and a half tracks. He's won at Las Vegas 3 times. So I definitely, if I had to go to the table to roll the dice, I'd be putting my dice and placing my bets on the 20 car.
That's awesome.
Now we also didn't hear the name Joey Logano. We heard him the first week. We heard him on the poll last week. What about this week?
He's one of those who could squeak in another top 5. I think that'll be a good chance because he also won on a mile and a half track last year at Kansas Speedway. Him and Brad Keselowski, his teammate, are very fast on the mile and a half. They swept the front row last year at Las Vegas. But I think this is a race where the Joe Gibbs Racing team will redeem themselves and they'll get back to victory lane this weekend.
Okay. Wonderful. That's awesome. And you brought out a promo for your vlog, and I thought it was pretty good. I shared it, and are we going to be seeing a few more of those? Or Steve did too.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. And guess what? We have Twitter.
Oh my!
So go to twitter.com/jbriggsy_14. We'll have some NASCAR insight on there, and you will see my blogs exclusively on Facebook.com/jbriggsy14, and also Snapchat at jbriggsy14. So come find me. Let's talk some racing and have some fun.
Awesome. So your Twitter handle is at jbriggsy _14.
Yeah, I got it.
That's right.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't believe Detterman got that.
I got it down right away.
That's awesome.
That's right. And once I got on Twitter, it's just like the heavens opened up and the world was smiling.
There you go.
See, we are the givers of good advice.
That's
too.
right. Technical culture, right?
Yes, technical culture. That is a great way to put that. Yeah, absolutely.
And Twitter's cool.
Yeah,
it is.
And see, you came to us. We got you a spot on the show.
We tweeted,
and then we got you on Twitter. So when you go huge,
remember us.
You have to remember us because we're going to be stuck here
in the basement,
in the in the basement of the 32nd floor XCRS building here in Pleasant Valley, and we're going to be stuck here, and we're going to be like, "Hey, look at that Josh Briggs guy.
Him? Yeah, look at him go. Remember him?
We made him."
That's right. That's right. Got to give credit where credit is due, fellas.
Yeah, so you owe us.
Oh, I owe you a big one.
There we go. So, Josh, we will talk to you next week. Take care, my friend.
All right, fellas. Thank you very much, and have an awesome night.
You too. Have a great week.
Yep, Josh.
You too. Now,
Josh Briggs with us on the XERS radio hotline.
We're still waiting for some calls on football, though. Still,
yeah, we haven't.
I mean, all those Bear fans out there. I mean, I figured someone would want to talk football with us.
I think they're hiding their head in the sand.
I want someone from Virginia to call since we are big in Virginia.
Yeah, the podcast is. I don't know about the live show, but the podcast is huge in Virginia. I have a bone to pick with you, Michiana residents. What is the deal? You're going to let Virginia beat you?
That's right.
You're going to let Virginia beat North Central Indiana? We live here.
North Central.
North Central, Northwest. What are we?
We're the northern Indiana.
Okay, whatever.
Northern Indiana.
We're right.
All up here. Michigan, Indiana. That's
seriously.
us.
How many people go to Notre Dame? How many students go to Notre Dame? What is it, like 10, 12,000?
No, I think only about 8,000.
8,000, something like that. 8,000.
But you've got all those students go to IUSB, all the students to Holy Cross.
So we got all these college students in this godforsaken town.
Got St. Mary's, Holy Cross.
You guys let Ashburn, Virginia beat you as the biggest listenership? Come on. Come on. I saw that and I was like, oh yeah, hey, look.
Wow. Okay.
Look, 2, 4, 5. Those were all. That was South Bend, Mishawaka, Granger. I'm like, oh, hey, that's great. Now, like, who's number one? Because number 3 is Chicago. Okay, yeah, we're big in the Chicago market.
Yep.
And I was like, oh yeah, who's number 1? Ashburn, Virginia.
So I instantly sent out to all my friends that live out of state. Yeah, I sent that.
I'm like,
sent that
seriously?
post out.
I mean, apparently President Obama loves the show.
I mean,
that must be what it is.
We do have some listeners in Massachusetts because my brother-in-law Bill listens every week.
Well, there we go.
So I mean, he listens to the podcast.
Big shout out to Massachusetts.
That's right. Ludlow, Massachusetts.
Ludlow.
Ludlow. Yes.
Ludlow.
Yes. It's an excellent place. I've been there several times.
Never been there.
It is. It's right out.
Does everybody talk like this?
No.
It's not like the Boston accent?
No. It's outside. It's western Mass. No, out by Springfield, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
Just north of Hartford.
Okay, it's over by Connecticut.
That is right. It's in the good part of the state.
And we are now no longer allowed in Massachusetts.
No. I'm going to be out there again this fall. We're going to take a trip out.
That's awesome. What are you going to do there?
There is the big the Eastern States Exposition called the Big E is right in West Springfield, Massachusetts. It's like a big state fair, but it's all the Eastern States state fair. So you have houses in there. Here's the New York house and the Massachusetts house and the Connecticut house and the Maine house. And each of these houses feature different things from each state. In the meantime, they have, top entertainment comes in every day, and they have, the rides and the whole thing like that. So it's like a huge state fair.
That's pretty cool.
It is. It's actually very neat. I have not been to it. I went to it with my wife, 20-some years ago. And this will be our first time back.
That's awesome.
So it should be fun, but that's coming up. That's coming up this September.
Cool. It'll give you something to do in the fall.
So now I was going to ask you, and we didn't ask Todd about this.
We ran out of time.
Yeah, Gonzaga dropped. They dropped a game.
Dude, they're pretenders.
They were number 3 in the nation.
The Zags are pretenders.
Who jumps up as that number 4 now? You've got Kentucky.
Yeah.
You've got Virginia. You've got Duke.
Vanderbilt.
Come on.
I don't know.
Is this prime for Wisconsin to jump in there?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Who do you think is going to take it? Arizona? Kansas is not. Kansas dropped.
No.
We talked about them. They looked horrible.
If Arizona had a stronger in-conference schedule, I would say, I think they're getting hurt by their RPI a little bit.
Okay, then besides Wisconsin, who?
I don't know.
I think this is big for the Kaminsky and Wisconsin to take that number 4 seed now.
I just don't.
You're a non-believer.
I don't think the Big Ten has anything strong enough.
Okay.
I just don't.
And yet they still play with all the big boys.
That's true.
I mean, they still match up and play with all the big boys. I've looked at that and I'm like, who out there is going to hop into that number 4 seed? I mean, it's like no one wants it.
Now, I had just had something up that, hang on, I want to tell you who I saw. This was Bleacher Report had this.
Mm-hmm.
We give credit to them on this. They actually they had Virginia, Duke, Kentucky, and I'm looking to see who their 4th was. Hang on, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
Slow connection.
That's okay.
I know it's
now another thing to just remind folks. Pitchers and catchers have reported they have started playing. Yeah. It's hard to believe this with the horrible weather that we've had this winter. That's just it started out really bad, got mild, and now it's got worse again. We're going to actually be in the 50s next week, and baseball starts in 3 weeks.
Oh, I know.
The regular season starts in 3 weeks. The boys of summer are back. And you and I are going to cut it down in about 2 weeks because we're going to have to take a whole show. We're going to have to go through that. You've got to give me a baseball show.
Oh, we're going to do a couple of baseball shows.
I sure hope so.
Absolutely.
Because
okay,
go ahead.
Hang on. Bleacher Report had Villanova. Wildcats. Villanova 28-2. Now, mind you, they say that it's a fragile number 1. And they, their resume is a little risky. They've been on an 11-game win streak though. Here, in this last couple of months, and the biggest ding on the resume is a 20-point loss by Georgetown.
No, the biggest thing on their thing is their conference. The Big East Conference is nowhere. If you talk about
win-loss record,
if you talk about the Big Ten Conference,
right.
Oh my God, Big East is. You lost all those people. They stink.
Right. But see, if Wisconsin and Arizona win their tournaments, Villanova's pretty much going to need to win out to get that number 1 seed.
I would think so. I
think they're as far as we talk about bubbles, that number 1 seed bubble. I think that's.
Here's the thing. I've watched a lot more college basketball this last week than I've watched for a while. And a couple of teams were just very disappointing. Kansas, I watched them play. They looked all out of sorts. They did not look good at all. I watched Kentucky, and Kentucky, for a team that's undefeated.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Kentucky looks beatable.
I just sit there and say, how? I mean, how have you gone through that? I mean, I understand you have, the best players, but they do not play as a team.
Yeah.
I mean, they really don't.
Louisville, they play like a bunch of individuals.
Yeah, Louisville was very, very disappointing.
Louisville surprised me just because of the fact that, I expected Louisville to be kind of like what Todd said. I expected Louisville to be on cruise control.
You
and ready
expect
to
them
go
to be a
into the tournament.
well-oiled machine right now, and
Right.
they looked far from that.
They look awful.
Yeah, they did.
You know who looked good for me though?
Who's that?
Really, I mean, I watched Wichita State the other day.
Wichita State against Northern Iowa?
Yeah.
That was a hell of a game.
Oh my gosh.
Both those teams. Van Vliet
looks like
Fred Van Vliet.
If he is not the guard to watch in all of the NCAA tournament, I would be very surprised.
But both those teams, I think, both those teams look damn good.
They look
and the thing is, you figure Northern Iowa playing on Wichita State's home floor did as well as and you're going, these are two teams from a conference, the Missouri Valley Conference.
Right.
Not, you're talking mid-major, lower mid-major.
Right.
These are two teams that
and Wichita State is still going to be a 10, an 8 to a 10 seed somewhere in there.
No. Both of them are ranked right around between 10 and 14. So I think they'll both of them will be about 4 seeds.
You think they'll be up that high?
Yeah, I think both of them.
Oh wow, I didn't.
I think when they played, one was ranked 11th or 12th, the other one was ranked 13th.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, you are right about that.
So I mean, right. I think both of them will be around 4 seeds, and the thing is this is a mid-major conference that is, I tell you, they're going to have two teams that are going to play a big part of how this tournament goes.
Oh, absolutely. I think when you get into those dangerous mid-majors, they just they start just completely rocking the entire boat.
I mean Butler showed us that 2 years in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. And then before them, there's always that one mid-major that scares the hell out of everybody.
Man, VCU.
Yeah, VCU is a very good example.
Yes.
Very good example. And even before that, you start,
we had Valparaiso. We had Bradley the 1 year out of the Missouri Valley Conference that got down to the final 8.
Yeah.
It's every year you're going to have that 1 or 2 mid-majors that just really turn things around.
Oh, I can't wait. This is my favorite time of year as far as basketball goes.
It is.
Anyhow, we will be back next week. We're going to have Todd Burlage either in studio or on the line. We're going to be
in studio, Todd. Get here in studio.
Get you ready for Selection Sunday. For Steve Dennerman, this is Steve Willis. We're going to get you back to music. You've been listening to Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio.